Good morning to all of you. Today I am going to take a topic, performance appraisal system, which is very important necessary part of the human resource management function. What happens in the organization at the time of job description or human resource planning? Some of the standards, benchmark or the parameters related to the performance sets, and at the time of recruitment and selection, these standards or benchmark communicate to the employees and employees works accordingly. At the end of the year, the outcome or the performance of an individual measure against the well-defined standards or the benchmark. So it is a continuous process. So basically we can define the performance appraisal system in this way, that it is an objective assessment of an individual performance against well-defined benchmark, or we can say that it is a formal structured system of measuring and evaluating. Basically, the purpose of the performance appraisal system is not only to assess the performance of an individual but also to improve the performance of an individual. So, evaluating the employee's job related behavior and outcomes to know how and why the employee is presently performing on the job and how the employee can perform more effective in future. So some of the objectives of performance appraisal system is to affect the promotion based on performance and competencies, to confirm the service of probationary employees. What happens in the organization after the selection, some employees are recruited on the basis of for the probation period, and during the probation period some standards or benchmark sets, and at the end of the probation period the evaluator assess the performance. If the performance is good, then they will be appointed as on a permanent basis, otherwise the probation period will continue. Again, to check the effective and efficiency of individuals, teams and organization, to assess the training and development need, to decide upon the pay rise. It is used to determine it can be used to determine whether HR programs such as selection, training and transfer have been effective or not. So overall objective of the performance appraisal system, again we want to say that it is the main purpose of this system is to improve the performance of an individual, and the main purpose is to improve the performance so that the decisions like transfer, promotion, demotion and the training development needs can be taken by the management. Now, the process of performance appraisal system. The first process start by establishing the performance standards. These standards communicate to the employees. Then during the period the performance can be measured by using the appropriate methods or by the evaluators comparing with the standards, then finally get the feedback or the result, and on the basis of the result the decisions like the promotion, demotion, transfer can be taken by the evaluators or the management. So in detail we can take the step of the performance appraisal system. The first step is to set the standards or the benchmarks related to the performance which affect the training need, promotion and transfer. Then second is to communicate these standard and expectations to the employees. These standards of the performance communicated to the appraisers or the evaluators, and if required the standard can also be modified at this stage itself according to the relevant feedback from the employees or the evaluators. The next step is to measure the actual performance. It is a continuous process. It involves a continuous monitoring of the performance. By using the different methods of the performance appraisal system, this step required the some of the parameters, like who will be the evaluator, to whom performance can be measured, what is the main problem, why we are going to measure the performance, how to solve it, which method is going to be used, something like that. On the basis of, by using all these parameters, the actual performance can be measured. Then next step is to compare the actual performance with the desired performance by using the standards or the benchmarks. Next step is to discuss the result with the employees on the one-to-one basis. In this method, the organization can also notify that how to improve the performance of the individual, what is the problem, why the performance is not up to the mark, and communicate to the employees. And if the performance is up to the mark, then the evaluator appraise the employee. Next step is to take the final decision on the basis of the outcomes, and these decisions related to the rewards, promotion, demotion, and the training and development needs. So this is the complete process of the performance appraisal system. In the third step, we have discussed to measure the actual performance, in which I mentioned you that some of the parameters sets, and with the use of these parameters, the appraisal system or the appraisal system can be designed. And what are these parameters? These parameters are, you see in the slide, that first of all define which type of appraisal system you are going to take, you are going to use, whether it is formal or informal, whose performance, who are the raters, what problem arise, why you are going to measure the performance, how to solve it, what to evaluate, when to evaluate, and some most important part is that which method is going to be adopted to check or measure the performance of an individual. So here we discuss some of the methods to measure the performance of an employee. It can be categorized into two forms, that is past oriented method and the future oriented method. First of all, we take the past oriented method, and in this we have first essay appraisal method, in which the evaluator describe or present the detailed description of the employee, and this detailed description related to their performance and behavioral aspect. That the rater described the employee within number of broad categories, that is overall impression, promotability of employee, strength and weakness of employee, and training and development required by the employee, and so on. Means in this system, the evaluator present the detailed description of the employee related to the strength and weakness, to their behavioral aspect, to which affect their promotability and the related functions. Second one is critical incident appraisal. In the critical incident appraisal, supervisor record the certain critical behavior of an employee that make difference between effective and non-effective performance of a job. Means what happen in this method, that the approach is focused on a certain critical behavior of employee that makes all the difference in the performance. Supervisors, as and when they occur, record such incidents, and during this incident the behavior of the employees recorded, and on the basis of this behavior the performance can be measured. The next one is the checklist. Under the checklist method, the statement of trade checklist of statement of traits of employee in the form of yes or no based question is prepared. In this method, it contains the statement of the traits related to the employee in the form of yes or no, and evaluator just select the one option. Next one is the ranking method. In this, supervisor ranks his or her subordinate in the order of their merit from best to the worst with detailed description. Next one is forced distribution method. Under this method, the employee performance level conforms to a normal statistical distribution. It is assumed that employee performance level conforms to well-shaped curve. That is, a 5-point performance scale is used without mentioning any descriptive statement and placed the performance of an employee between two extremes of good and bad performance. Next one is forced choice method. In this method, the rater is forced to select statements which are ready-made and related to the performance or the behavioral aspect of an employee. The rater indicates which statement is true or false. The next one is paired comparison method. Each worker is compared with all other employees in a group. For several traits, paired comparisons are made, tabulated, and then rank is assigned to each worker. Next one is behaviorally anchored rating scale. It is said to be behaviorally anchored as the scale represents a range of descriptive statement of behavior varying from the least to the most effective. Actually, what happens in this method, a scale is used and some of the traits or the behavior related statement mentioned on the scale from the better to the worst, and then the evaluator indicate the behavior or the trait of an employee on this scale, and after that on the basis of all the statement, overall performance can be measured. Last one is field review method. This is an appraisal done by someone outside employee's own department, usually from corporate or HR department. The advantage is that useful for managerial level promotion when comparable information is needed. Disadvantage is that outsider is generally not familiar with employee work environment. So all about the past oriented method. Next category is future oriented method. Some of the important methods are management by objectives. Under this method, some of the objectives, goals set by the management, and the performance is rated against the achievement of objective. What happened? The first step is to establish the objectives and goals and desired outcome for each subordinate. Then communicate these goals and objective to the employee. Then comparison of actual goals with goals attained by the employee. Then again establish new goals and strategies for goal not achieved in previous year. So this is a continuous process. Next one is psychological appraisal method. These appraisals are more directed to assess employee potential for future performance rather than the past one. It is done by the interview, psychological tests and discussion with the supervisor, review of other evaluations. This method is used to assess the employee potential by using interview, psychological tests and discussion. Next one is the assessment center. Assessment center is a place where managers may come together to have their participation job related exercise and evaluated by the trained observers. What happened in this system, in this method, the managers are invited at the central location, and some exercise by using the different training method, by using the different methods of training like in basket exercise, work group, computer simulation, role playing, given to the employees, and the evaluator observe their performance or their behavioral aspect and come out with the some outcome and communicate to the employees. So next one is 360-degree feedback. It is very popular technique used by the organization in which a systematic collection of performance data on an individual group derived from a number of stakeholders like immediate supervisors, team members, customers, peers and self. What happened in this method, the performance can be measured by the stakeholders, that is the supervisors, team members, customers, peers and self, so the transparency can be maintained and the management will come out with the fair results. This technique is highly useful in terms of broader perspective, greater self-development and multi-source feedback is useful. 360-degree appraisal are useful to measure interpersonal skills, customer satisfaction and team building skills. So these are the future oriented method. So we can conclude the performance appraisal system in this way that the main objective of the performance appraisal system is not only to assess the performance of an individual but also to improve the performance of the employees, and the process begins by setting the standard, benchmark or the parameters or the expectation, communicate to the employees, measure the performance against the standards, get the final feedback, and on the basis of the feedback, decision making process is going on related to the promotion, demotion and training and development needs. The performance can be measured by using the different methods which involves the evaluator, appraiser or appraisal method, or why the appraisal is required, and followed by the methods, and the methods can be categorized into two forms, that is the past oriented method and the future oriented method. So all about the performance appraisal system. Thank you so much.